What's going on, everybody? We are here today to talk to you about Is This Thing On? I'm Connor. This is Sean. I pointed the wrong freaking way again, dude. I'm going to do it every time. I'm going
What's
to do it
up,
every time.
guys? What's
Sean's
going
over
on?
here. Sean's over here. Um, this was a really good film. We both liked it. We're going to talk about it. I just want to highlight cast and crew. Will Arnett was the lead with Laura Dern. Andra Day was in it. Bradley Cooper. Sheeran Hines had a great couple of scenes in there. Mom was great. Christine Ebersole. Peyton Manning, believe it or not, was featured in this film, directed
Yeah.
by Bradley Cooper. And I do want to point out Matthew Libatique. He was the cinematographer
hmm
on the film, and I think he did a tremendous job. I also want to shout out the composer of this film, James Newberry. I thought the sound in this was really good as well,
Very good.
or the score was
The
really good
score,
as
yep.
well.
Very good, very good.
So yeah, let's break it down. Let's talk about it. Sean, you want to take it away? You want to lead anything here? Did you liked
Yeah,
it, right?
I really liked it. I came into the movie with g not high expectations, but good expectations. I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking like it is Bradley Cooper who directed A Star Is Born and Maestro, two movies that I did like and I appreciated. Neither of them were like, home runs for me though. Like I wasn't, fully bought into them, but I actually did think I liked Maestro just a tad more. I don't know what resonated with me more about that movie, but
It's
something
it's
about just
funny.
the way it was, you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's really funny you say that because it's funny that I'm like I feel like when Star is Born came out, everybody's like, "Oh my god, this is like tremendous! Bradley Cooper's so talented. Like he
Yeah,
directed this and his acting was great." And then Maestro came out and they're like, "Nah, he's trying too hard, bro.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
Maestro's just all right." And like he got nothing for either one that he obviously
Right,
wanted to
right.
win an Oscar for. Continue though. Sorry to cut you off.
No, no, you're good. It definitely, it set the expectation for me of like, okay, this is definitely gonna be well made, and we have Will Arnett, as a writer as well and starring. I just, it definitely felt like it was definitely gonna work for me, especially as a
Mm,
BoJack Horseman fan.
hmm
And
This is
yeah,
basically like
no,
the human BoJack movie in some
right.
ways,
No,
just with maybe
right. I
like a
mean,
happier
yeah.
ending, which we could talk
Yeah, it
about.
has its moments where it definitely feel. I mean, you could close your eyes and listen to Will Arnett's character, talk, and you're like, oh, like that's BoJack. Like he's saying shit that BoJack would
Yeah,
say. Like it
yeah.
definitely felt like that at times. But no, I really dug this one. I found it to be very a really like just a great like mature movie
Right.
that talks about these things in a way that's not whatever hokey or making it too grand and too whatever. It just no, it just it told its story in a really great way, and I think especially with this screenplay as opposed to Maestro and A Star Is Born, this definitely felt a lot different. Um,
Which I appreciated actually. It
yes,
felt like really fresh for him
yeah,
in comparison.
more like
Loose. I think it felt more loose.
looser, higher, definitely a higher tempo. Like it definitely
Yeah.
was caffeinated a bit compared to the first two movies. Like this one
Yeah.
had just this pace. Like it just
hmm
wasn't, it really didn't hold up. But it also let those more tender moments just sort of like breathe and do its
Right.
thing. Yeah, no, this was a really good movie. It's really well written. The characters are intelligent. They're three-dimensional. They have a history that we get clued into at times, but they never throw it in our faces like some exposition flashback or whatever. Like, oh, this is blah blah blah. It does in really smart ways, like I guess we can go to spoiler territory
Yeah,
already,
we can do
but like
spoilers, yeah.
the picture of her being as the volleyball player in college or whatever, and
Yeah,
that's
dude.
how Alex sees her and thinks it's this great sort of whatever compliment or this great thing, and she's like, but that's not who I am now. Like I became a mother, I did other things. Like we're different people than we were back then. So like
Yeah, then when they
the
fell in
movies,
love.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right, right. The movie's talking about very complicated things and human. I guess human nature. Like, how do we respond to these things, and like, how do
Yeah.
we work through these things? And I think it did it in a way that was just very mature. It was very. I think I said that after the movie, and I'm like, that was. It just felt like an adult movie, but
Yeah. You
like
did
not
say
in
that,
like
yep.
a crass way, but just like it just was like it didn't bullshit us at all, which I
Yeah.
really I really appreciate because they could have. There were times in the script where I'm like, I thought they were going to go in kind of a more like generic direction with some things. We're like, oh, they're going to do this and that, and they didn't. And I was like, oh, that was cool. That's
Yeah.
real life. I'll say it. I was gonna just be vague about it. There's a moment with Andrew Day's character
hmm
when she goes to Will Arnett, who's on the couch.
Yes.
He's like, "Well, I want to tell you something." In my head, I'm like, "Oh, don't do the thing where like she's into him.
That's
Like,
what I
don't
thought.
make this
Dude, that is
right."
exactly what I thought was going to happen. And I was going to be like,
I
I
know.
kind of don't need to see this
It was so
because,
I was
yeah.
so bugged
And they
by
didn't
it.
go in that
Like,
direction.
and they totally no, it actually became something way more profound of like her projecting herself and her shit because
Yeah.
and like I'm
Kind of
not in a
flipped the narrative
relationship,
on its head because I'm sure
but
everybody probably felt that way in that scene.
right,
You know? Because I was like, oh, this is the reason why
100%.
she like hates him. She's like unhappy with her husband. She's going to try to
Yeah,
sleep with him
yeah,
because she thinks they're unhappy, take advantage
yeah,
of that. And that's not what happened, which was cool. It was like you
right,
said, it was like adult. I felt like it was
yeah.
very much, as much as it was like marriage, a marriage story, as much as it was a marriage story and like a divorce story, it really is like I don't know what do you call like what do you call like a coming of age movie, but for people that are hitting their midlife crisis. Because that's what I would say. That's what I would say this is. It's like a coming of age story for people that are like in a midlife crisis and in an unhappy
You're coming
marriage.
of age. You're coming of
Coming of
uh
middle age, I
coming of
would say.
middle age. Sure, yeah,
Right?
sure. I
I
like
would
that.
say
I like that.
that
I like that.
that's kind of what this felt like, where it's like
Yeah,
there were a lot of themes, both like from a marriage and love perspective, and like what do you do in your relationship once it ages. Like they do a lot of talking about like what they were like when they were younger, what their relationship was like when they were younger, what they themselves were like when they were younger. And then I think even at one point, like with Will Arnett like doing the whole comedy thing, joining a comedy club, and that's his way of coping, which like we can get into that, but it did feel like kind of like midlife crisis y type activity where it's like let me try something new and fun and put myself out there.
right,
I'm
right.
living in an apartment, I'm meeting like other women and all that kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
stuff. And I think his mom says that to him at one point there's like a kitchen scene. She's like, oh, is this some
Mhm.
kind of midlife crisis thing?
Right, right, right.
um and not saying it necessarily is, but it definitely has those undertones of like things that people go through, I think, in their middle age, where they want to try new things that they never tried before, and their relationship is up in the air, and they're like, did I miss my calling? Should I have done something else with my life? Like, where's my
Yeah,
life at now versus where it was, 15, 20 years ago? And like you said, I think those are like really adult themes, and
yeah,
they didn't have to go there. They could have just stuck with this is a story about divorce and a guy coping through by being a comedian, and
yeah,
taking the real
yeah,
generic route. But they really didn't. They really kind of like went out of the box and tried to tackle
yeah,
like I'm sure a lot of ideas that a lot of people go through. Because I thought it was interesting. It wasn't just the relationship with Bradley Cooper and Laura Dern, but it was also Andrew Day and Bradley Cooper's character had like a
yeah,
really
yeah,
interesting up and down relationship
yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think it was really interesting that they went about it in that way. That Bradley Cooper went
Yeah.
about it in that way and pieced together that way.
Yeah, it wasn't like a generic like oh like it's a divorce movie where like one character does something wrong. Like there's an obvious like kind of offender. It's they both had
Yeah.
their part in it,
And
and
no
I
one
think
cheated,
you know
which I thought was kind of good
yeah
too.
right
They
right
just like
no
kind
that
of
would have been
fell out of love,
so yeah right
Yeah.
right, and I think I think a lot of why they were getting a divorce in the first place, and like Will says this at the end of the movie, but like it wasn't necessarily the marriage itself. It wasn't necessarily that tangible thing. It was a lot of their own shit that they were trying to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think it was kind of cool that you see them explore it in the movie. Like you see Will, or I guess what's his character's name? Alex Novak. You
Alex
see
Novak, yeah.
Alex, he's processing this and he's working through this separation through the stand-up comedy. And which, by the way, that is not autobiographical, but that is based on Will Arnett's experience with a comedian, I think in the UK named John Bishop, that he met at a bar or whatever, and he told him this whole
Oh,
story
no
about,
way.
yeah, yeah, like how he was
That's
getting
super
divorced
interesting.
and he started doing stand comedy. That's the only I think tie story wise. Like all the other stuff is
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
like
yeah.
fictionalized, but like just the premise, like that's where Will Arnett birthed this idea, and then he wrote a script and he showed it to Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper was like, "Fuck, we gotta do this. Like, I want to rewrite it with you." So he rewrote it. Bradley directs it, and thank God because I think Bradley really like you could tell he understood the story and characters. You could tell like okay, as he's reading the script for the first time, it's just clicking. He's like, "No,
Yeah.
I could see where I can put my imprint on this," and like I like and this is a hot take. Like I don't know how many people will be saying this. I do think it's Bradley Cooper's best movie, direction wise to date.
Really? Okay.
I do. It felt because like A Star Is Born and Maestro are really great. And they have some of these moments that are like holy
Mm-hmm.
shit. As a whole, I don't really find them as like very tight, especially Stars Born. And that is a movie that on rewatch, um, it definitely felt a bit straining towards the second act of like, all right, like I get what you're
Yeah.
going for, but at this point it's just like I'm not really getting anything out of this, and it obviously has a big crescendo at the end. And Maestro is sort of a similar way. Like there's a big orchestral moment
Hmm.
with Bradley. This movie just felt front to back like it especially screenplay wise, like they exactly knew what they wanted to do. They zeroed in on it and they executed it. It's just like executing a great game plan. Like it's like watching a great football team play or whatever. You're just like,
Yeah.
oh, they do exactly what they wanted to do on the field, and you could just see it in the play. You're oh yeah, no, they execute that perfectly. That's how I felt with this movie. Where I'm just like, I can't really knock this movie for anything. Like I was like as I'm doing my letterbox review or whatever, and I'm trying to figure out like what stars to give it, that's the thing. I didn't know. I was like, I don't know. Like I don't I it's so hard for me to poke holes in this thing because it really just set out they wouldn't want it and it fucking did it. And
Hmm.
I think it was just really well done. I think Bradley really smart to give himself the supporting acting role there as
Yeah,
Balls.
dude. I
What a
like that a
great
lot.
name
I
for a
like that a lot
character.
too. Balls. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
arguably I mean, I think it's his funniest role since the Hangover movies.
Yeah, we
I
were talking
can't
about
think
that right
of,
after that.
yeah,
Like, I can't even remember. Like, I wouldn't really necessarily count Rocket Raccoon. I know he's voicing the character, and the character is
right,
very
right.
entertaining. But like, I don't.
He is funny as Raccoon, but it's not like he's not, yeah, it's
Right,
not like a
he's
live
not
action
like
performance.
him as freaking Balls, dude, was awesome. And
Awesome.
he added a lot. Not even just like with the jokes that are in the movie. Like his actual acting and chemistry with Will Arnett was through the
Yeah,
roof. And that's why I was saying like I
yeah,
don't think I'd count Rocket because it
yeah,
was like the same thing in Hangover. Like
yeah,
his chemistry
yeah,
with the rest of the cast and like his expressions and the way he like respond to
yeah.
things and like delivered lines made them way funnier. So it
Oh,
was
yeah.
really refreshing to kind of see him do
Yes.
that again because dude, he's so funny, man. He's the funniest part of the movie.
Yeah.
He's funnier than Will Arnett as the comedian. Now, not saying Will
100%.
Arnett was
Oh,
not funny,
no. Oh,
but dude, oh
100%
my
though. No,
god, he was
he
so
comes
funny.
in and he's so fucking funny. He has these lines where he's just so oblivious. He's kind of a stoner type,
Yeah.
acting, trying to get these
Hmm.
gigs. There's also a sadness with his character that I really fucking like appreciate that they kind of like they didn't obviously have a moment where he's like "Ooh," or he does like a
Yeah.
switch up, but you could feel it in his talking. Like he
Yeah.
talks to Alex like you were always the funny kid growing up. You were always the funniest kid in the group or whatever, and you find these little like nuggets of like kind of like context for it, and like
Yeah.
learning that about Alex. And but like that
Hmm.
moment with Bradley was very just like you could feel it. Like he feels insecure about what he's doing in this acting stuff, and he was like, I don't know, I. That kind of shit I just appreciate. It just shows that they care about these characters, like they really like these characters that they're writing, and I just those moments, I think you nailed it with the chemistry. I think that Will Arnett
Yep.
and him, really, you could tell they wrote it together. Like in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
scene
Yeah.
where they're
Yeah.
sitting together and they're
Yeah.
just like bouncing off each other, and like it almost goes on for too long, but in a way that I love, where like they
Hmm.
kind of kept the joke. Where Brad's like, what are you talking about? What did you say? And they do this thing for like almost 30 seconds, and then as Will just being like, wait, dude, what? And it just cuts to the next scene. I'm
Yeah.
like, wait, that's just a great way of ending that scene of just like,
Because it
oh
felt
no, it's
real.
just
It felt real, dude. And that's what I really appreciate about the whole thing. From like
yeah.
the jokes to the dialogue to like the characters themselves. I think one of the scenes that really jumped out to me, and shout out, this is like a small thing, but shout out to the team who did the production design and the costumes for this movie because it's a minor thing, but to me, those little touches made the characters feel very lived in. And I'll explain. Like I think there's the scenes when I think it's when Balls goes to the apartment and the scene when like Laura Dern visits and they're checking for lice in the son's hair. Dude, just what they were wearing. Like I think one of the scenes was Will Arnett was just wearing like an old shirt that was like had the sleeves cut off, but it wasn't like cut off. It wasn't like done in a way that was neat. It was
Yeah.
done in a way that like this shit's been sitting in his drawer for a while. He just
Right.
wears
Yeah.
it around the house, like pajama type clothes that he just wears around. And then even stuff in the background, like you could see. I remember there's like a part where you could see in the background there's like a Keurig that is just like out and like open and it's got one of like the used K cups in it
Yeah.
and it's got
Yeah.
a K cup display that's got a couple cups missing and then on the coffee table he's got like a book and like a couple used things there and I was like this just feels like a guy's
Yeah.
apartment like and
Yeah.
it's a little thing, it's small things because those are things like you don't really notice in the background of films and they usually
Yeah.
end up being meaningless, but for me in a movie that is so real and the characters feel so lived in and real. I thought it was really nice to have it feel like their world was lived in and real. Like even when he goes to
Yeah.
the bar, right, and he's meeting with them afterwards in the booth and like hanging out in the booth with them, and it's really tight and it's loud, and that's how they portrayed it in the film. I was like, dude, this feels like I'm sitting at a real bar right now,
Yeah,
which I
Amy
love, dude.
Sedaris's character
Right.
who owns a bar. She has like a computer, like she's booking.
Yeah, they're
Like
all
it's just
typing,
very.
eating stuff, whatever. Even like when he walks in the bar and when he signs his name, they're like, "Oh, you could just put your jacket over there," and he's like, "All right," and he just like folds it and like leaves it on top of all the coats. I was like, dude, this feels like a real
Yes.
bar in New York City, which is
Even the
awesome.
dude, even the
Yeah.
dude that right before he goes on, and there's the big guy who's like, "Hey, you ready to go on?" Whatever. But he's like,
Hmm.
Just talk, man. Just talk to
Hmm.
him. Whatever." That little nugget, like that little
Hmm.
moment, I'm like, I'm in. I buy this shit. Like I
It feels so
buy that
real,
this is a
dude.
real fucking place. Like
Yeah.
yeah, dude, 100%. I That's actually a really good point about production design.
Yeah. It just feels
I love
lived
when
in. Yeah.
contemporary production design is just very thoughtful. Like they're
Hmm.
very much like, and you're totally right. And that is, it's cool. You honestly reminded me. Like I remember thinking that as we're watching this movie,
Hmm.
and not like the K cup scene specifically, but I
Yeah.
remember there was a moment where I'm like, I really like this set, and I think it was his apartment, Will Arnett's
Yeah.
character's
His
apartment.
apartment. It's apartment. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if it changed throughout the movie or whatever. But I remember having a note in my head of like, there's something interesting going on here with production design and what they're doing, and like the way he's it's a little cleaner here or whatever than it was
Right.
before. But I don't know, like there's little things like that where I'm like, that fucking like, and that
Right.
just shows that like Will Arnett and Bradley Cooper, it was a very collaborative thing, and it was their thing. It was their movie. It wasn't anybody
Hmm.
else's that had hired them to make it. This is their story that they want to tell, and you could feel it. You could feel it in the production design. You could feel it in all aspects of the movie.
Yeah.
It's a really good movie that is hard to not recommend to people. Like I don't know who I wouldn't recommend. I mean, it might not hit with some people I recommend it to, but like I
Yeah, they
wouldn't.
might not love
You
it,
know,
but I wouldn't tell them like don't watch that because I think, like I
no,
said, I
no,
think the thing that again really stands out to me and is like my biggest takeaway from all of it is like it just feels really real. Like I think
no.
it's because of the screenplay, I think it's because of the subject matter, I think it's because of the set design, the costumes, like everything about it just made it feel like a world that was like lived in.
Yeah,
Like I felt like I was watching real life unfold in front
yeah,
of me, which
yeah,
was really cool because you can't say that about a lot of movies.
yeah,
Um, and I liked it a lot. And I think another thing I want to talk about is the direction and the camera work and the cinematography of the film because that was
yeah,
something we both walked away really liking was the way that the on stage scenes of him, the comedy scenes were shot,
yeah.
where it really is about him. Like it's not about the jokes. And honestly, I will say this, dude. Credit to Will Arnett and Bradley Cooper because his stand-up jokes were actually funny, and that shit never
Yes.
happens in movies, dude.
Nope.
Stand-up jokes are never funny in TV, and they're never funny in movies, and they actually made it entertaining. I wasn't like dying laughing, but I was like, "Oh, this guy's funny. He's like pretty good at it." And you saw him get
No.
better
Yeah,
as the movie went on too, which was really cool.
dude.
Like the
A
comedy
hundred
got
percent.
better. It's like they almost wrote mid
Yes.
comedy, and then by the end we're writing like pretty
Exactly.
pretty good comedy. And I was like,
No,
wow,
that's exactly what they did. Yeah.
that
It's
also
awesome.
takes a lot of
Yeah.
like good writing to write like mid comedy, get a
Yeah,
couple chuckles, and
intentionally.
then by
Yeah.
the end be like, oh, that was really good.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
had
you
it
know?
work with his process of
Right, right,
like kind of grieving this relationship.
right.
Like you could tell in the beginning, like obviously he isn't a nuanced, comedian, it isn't a sharp, but like the, I don't know, like it was very, very. I love how they paced that, and in that first scene, it's very like he's slow to it, but you could see him, you can see the light bulbs, like you could see him
Mm.
light up when he gets a couple laughs
You get a
and
couple
that little
chuckles.
hook.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
yeah.
That's all he needed. I
Hmm.
mean, like every comedian, if you ever watch any interview with any comedian, the majority of them say the same thing of like it
Yeah,
was that one thing. Like my dad, whatever, watching Johnny Carson, and I just that one thing he said just hooked me, and that's what I wanted to do
yeah,
for us.
dude.
Like it's that little thing, and I love that in those moments they just kept it on him. They kept it on Alex Novak's
Yeah,
character. They kept it on Will Arnett. We talked about it after the movie, but like I
right.
loved in his breakdown scene
Mm.
at the Comedy Cellar, like him, just I loved it. Like just like love and life, it just sucks everything out of you. It's like the way he was saying it, it felt like a very real breakdown. Like it felt
Hmm.
very real. And the choice to only show the crowd once, like they barely show the crowd, they can show for like a couple seconds, and then they go back to Will. I was like, thank God, because
Because the
if
crowd
they
doesn't
had
matter.
like Right. Well, yeah. One, the crowd doesn't matter.
Yep.
Like we're in it for
We're in it
him
for
and what
him.
he's going
Yep.
through, and
Yep.
that's exactly it. It's like
We
we're
were watching
not.
him bomb. We knew that was coming. I don't need
Yeah.
to see what the crowd thinks because I know what the crowd thinks. The crowd's gonna be like, "Oh shit,
Right. And
this
I think as an
guy's
audience
this.
member,
This
it
is
could
not a
take
comedy.
away.
Yeah, this
Right.
is
Right.
not a
It's
comedy
not.
joke."
Right. Right.
Right.
And I think it could take away from like us, like as we're
Yeah.
watching it, because then we're like, oh, like the crowd's cringing or whatever. So then you get wrapped up in that, and so then you're not. You're
Hmm.
more so about the moment, like, oh, this embarrassing thing happened, than being in like Alex Novak's, perspective. Like,
Yeah.
like the fact that they kept it on him, that keeps us in his head and what
Right.
he's going through. So it's not like an awkward moment where he does this really wild thing at a comedy club. It is a really sad breakdown of this man
Hmm.
who is, like you said, going like, I don't know about, yeah, I guess midlife. I guess it is a midlife crisis. I mean,
Yeah.
not
I
that
was just saying like
I
the
think you're right.
broader
Like I think it
concept of it.
is
Yeah.
right, right. But like as in you're halfway through your life and you find this new meaning. Like I
Yeah.
get it, and
Or your life
he's
is just changing now. Like
right. He's going
probably
through the
hasn't changed for him
motions, and
since he had his kids, and now it's like,
well,
oh shit, all of a sudden, yeah.
that's exactly it. And I love that they play with that with him and Laura
Hmm.
Dern's character of like who we were before we had kids, and then who
Hmm.
do we become after, and like how do we change, and like and that does lead us though, like towards the end of the film. I guess if you want to talk about the ending of
Hmm.
like they do get back together and they have that kiss. And I don't know, dude. I really liked it. I really liked the ending because I didn't. I was kind of thinking towards the end. I'm like, how are they gonna end this? Like, is it
Yeah.
gonna be sort of an ambiguous thing, or are they just gonna go this? Like, what is it? And I don't know. I really liked the way they did it. It felt natural. And I felt like they both learned from the experience, and they kind of learned so much about themselves. And Will Arnett has the big line of, "I was not unhappy with our marriage. I was unhappy in our marriage," and that
Hmm.
literally is the thesis statement of the film. It's not. It wasn't just us. Like actually,
Right.
it was our
You're
shit,
unhappy
and we had to
where your
figure it
life
out.
is at, and you have to get
Right.
through that. Or not, maybe, yeah, I would say unhappy where your life is at. And I think
Yeah.
that's why him finding comedy was more about him finding something he loved than it was like obviously it was because him grieving his wife and like getting over it, but it was also about, like we said, like it has to do with like a midlife crisis thing, like putting yourself back out
Yeah.
there again. Like, your life has been like basically go to work and then be a parent for every
Yeah.
day for however many years he's had kids.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So what's it like to get back out there and like to be yourself again? That's even like what Laura Dern's character is doing. She loved volleyball, but she had to give it up, and now she's going back into it.
Mm.
And you can see how rejuvenated that she is. And I think it's interesting how rejuvenated they both get at the end and how their relationship reconnects because they're both doing
Yeah.
shit they love. Like
Right.
he a comedian, her being a volleyball coach. It's like now they're
That's
doing
it.
shit they
Yeah.
love, and now they're happy again in their
Hmm.
marriage, which again just plays on that statement that he made at the end. I wasn't unhappy with you. I was unhappy. I wasn't unhappy with our marriage. I was unhappy in our marriage. And I think that really says so much because you hear all the time about people going through divorce and stuff, but they still love the other person afterwards. Like if it's like the type of divorce that is happening in the film, not like the divorce
Yeah.
that is like, oh, somebody cheated on me, whatever. But more so the concept of divorce that, you just drifted apart. You're not the same people anymore, but showing that a lot of times it doesn't always have to do with the relationship itself. It shows like
Right.
how as people you are either unhappy with where you're at, or you've evolved into someone else, or there's just things about your life that you realize now are unrealized and you need to change.
Right.
And it almost has nothing to do with the actual marriage itself. It's more about who
Yeah.
you are and where you're at. And I think that again, this is why it's like, I think like you mentioned, an adult film because it
Yeah.
tackles things that are very adult in the sense of as I mentioned, it's like a coming of middle age movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Things people
And
feel when they get
yeah,
to that stage in their life.
I agree, dude. I think you nailed it with like I think look like when I think like with relationships, especially, I mean, especially in marriage where you're having kids, like you are so much bigger than yourself,
Right.
and you're sharing a life, and that can't be understated. Like you are sharing, like you're experiencing this life with this other person, and that changes things. Like who you were before you got married, and then who you are now. Like it I feel like what the movie was trying to say was like, hey, like we do lose a bit of ourselves
Right. And you
through
can't go
marriage
back
and
and
maybe
change that.
kids, and we're
Right.
right. Like
Which is a
I
big
think
thing. Like
there's
she says, I'm not that person anymore. You can't go
right,
back and just like, hang up a picture of her playing volleyball. It doesn't make her that same person that you were. You know what I
right, and I
mean?
think it's like missing a point because like he is like he's just missing the point of like why she is the way she is. Like he's saying, "Oh no, but like who you were back then, you were just a volleyball player, you were just on fire." And she's like, "Yeah, but dude, like we made a family. Like that's
Right. We
that
grew.
is
Like we
the
grew.
thing.
Yeah.
That is the thing,
Hmm.
the accomplishment. This is the thing I'm most proud of."
Hmm.
And so when she sees that picture, she's like yeah, I love volleyball, but like I don't want you to see me just for, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
we're more than that. And I think that's sharing a life thing. Like what actually is a marriage? Like what does that actually entail? What does that require from you? What does that do to you?
Hmm.
I really think this movie explored those things really well, and in a very mature way, in a very I mean I don't want to say it was like a laugh out loud comedy funny movie, but I laughed
It
a
was
lot,
light. It was
man. It
light.
was
It was
very
light.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it had its moments where it spoke a lot of really great truths, and you had so many little. I love the little moment. I have to shout it out. Uh, I think it's after they kind of like get back together, like they hook up again at the summer house or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and the friends are making breakfast and getting bagels and orange juice and milk or whatever, and they start humming "Amazing Grace,"
Mhm.
and it almost acts as this interlude between scenes, and it's like you see like then Will Arnett and Laura Dern come out, and they're very friendly. Oh, you want coffee? Blah,
Felt like
blah,
a
blah,
Broadway
blah, blah.
show. Felt like a Broadway show.
So that okay, that is so interesting that you just said that
Right?
because I've been trying to figure out how to articulate it. So you
Like you
just said
said, it's
Broadway
coming
show,
back from like the intermission to the interlude. It's like, okay,
yeah,
everybody get in your seats because like she
yeah.
gets on, starts
That's
singing, and you're like,
yeah.
okay, they're like back out there, they're
That's
singing
actually
whatever.
so
We
funny.
got to get
That's a
back in our
great way of
seats
looking
now,
at
and
it.
then it's like, they do this scene for like 5 minutes. So like, and then
Yeah.
the leads come back on. You're like, okay, we're getting
Yeah,
back
you
into it
nailed it.
now,
That's
right?
it. I think it's just like a Broadway.
Which,
It's
by the way,
that's so
this would
funny that
rock
you
as a
said that.
Broadway play. I think
Oh,
this
for
would
sure.
crush.
Yeah,
Okay,
no, I think so
yeah.
too. Yeah, no, very, very much, especially
Mhm.
like with the dialogue and the backs and
That's what I'm
forths and the
saying.
way
Dialogue
they
heavy. Yeah.
bounce off each
Oh
other.
yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, that moment was just really cool because it did not advance the plot at all. Like it
Yeah.
didn't have to be in the movie. I'm so glad it was. Like it felt like I could kind of almost imagine Bradley with the editor being like, I don't want to take this out.
Yeah.
Like I need, and I get it. Because like if it just cut to the next scene, it would have been kind of a weird flow. It would have been a bit
Hmm.
abrupt. I like that they have like the moment where it's just a nice morning and everybody's humming and it's just a little improv thing
Right.
and they Andrew Day and I forget the guy's name, really Sean something, really
Hmm.
funny actor. It just yeah, I don't know. It made
They
me laugh.
just
And then
felt like
it,
friends too. I don't know. Like some
yeah,
people are like, dude, what
yes.
the hell is this? Like, it's so weird. I don't know. Just felt like
Yeah,
a,
just
a
friends
friend
hanging
moment.
out and a fun moment. And
Yeah.
like I got to shout out Christy from Breakfast All Day movie reviews on YouTube. They're awesome. She gave me this. She said the idea of like oh like it feels like almost like in a song. It's like an interlude in an album. You know, like
Yeah.
it leads into the next song, but it's
Hmm.
like it still has meaning and it still belongs there. But it's not like some big moment that contributes to the overall thing. And I very much was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then you saying the Broadway thing, I get it now. That
Yeah.
moment to me, it
That's what it feels
absolutely
like.
belongs there. And
Yeah.
yeah, it feels that way. Yeah, no, this movie's really good. It's very loose, it's energetic. What did I say caffeinated before? It feels
Yeah.
caffeinated
Caffeinated.
compared to Maestro and A Star is Born
And
in that
Stars Born.
like
And
they
like you
just,
said, lighter too. Like
yeah.
Stars Born, extremely heavy. I was depressed for like 3 days after watching that. Maestro also like very heavy as
Yeah,
well. It gets
Maestro's heavy
really dark
too.
towards the
Yeah.
end, like very sad.
Yeah.
This though was really light. Like I said, like there's obviously moments where you're sad or you
Yeah.
feel a certain type of way about what the characters are going through. But like at the end of the day, like again, still kind of like a happy ending, and it really feels like it's earned too. Like it doesn't feel like oh let's just make them back, let's just put them back together just because. Like it felt like it was actually earned. Like they actually came to this conclusion, and they came
Yes.
to this realization that you know what, let's just be together as who we are now, not
Right,
who we
right,
used to
right.
be. And I think that there's like a lot of beauty in that. You know what I mean? Of them
No,
growing
yeah.
together in a relationship, and I think they did it well. Didn't feel like hammed up. Didn't feel abrupt.
Right.
I thought the film was tight, like you said, like
Yeah.
caffeinated, like you
Well
said. But it was
edited,
also
really well edited.
well
Yeah.
edited. It was tight. It was concise. Like I never felt like scenes were like a waste of time. Like I could, like you said,
Yeah.
even like the Amazing Grace scene, I feel like there was something there to that. It didn't feel
Yeah.
like it was
Yeah.
wasted screen time. Just really good. I just like a really well made movie.
Yeah, man.
Let's do our final score. I personally I gave it a 4, but it feels like one that if I watch again, I'm gonna be like, wow, that really was special stuff. Like that was even more
Yeah.
special than I remember. And I can give it like a 4.5. But I thought it was I give it a 4. I thought it was really really good. Very well made.
Yeah. I gave it 4.5 on Letterboxd.
Mm.
Think but like I'm around like if I'm out of 10, like an 8.89, like in
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
area, because
Mhm.
it isn't right like this life altering, like oh my god, like
Right.
this
It's not
is
the
a
best movie you've
fucking
ever seen. You're not like, oh my god,
right
this is life
man
altering.
of a film,
Right.
right? But it's just
But it's
so
just a
it's so
well-made movie.
clean, dude. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
so like
clean,
it's
clean.
such an
Hmm.
easy recommendation, and it is
Yep.
a movie like I want to watch again. Like it's a good just weekend, almost morning watch or something like
Yeah.
that, where it's I really appreciated this movie. I hope Bradley, honest to God, goes in this direction more. Do these little, almost not slice of life, but you know what I mean, like smaller scale
Felt like
stories,
he
and
wasn't
then
chasing an Oscar like people,
right.
were getting on him
Well,
for doing. This felt like he was just doing something from the heart that he
yeah, and
loved, which hit.
yeah, it shows in the campaign because they didn't campaign. They
Yeah,
did not.
exactly. Dude, they did
It
not campaign at
released
all.
late. It didn't
Yeah.
get any, literally like zero
He
campaigning.
was like,
And
screw it,
the
let's just make
irony
this
is that
movie.
like I low-key think it's his best movie. So it's like it's kind of funny to see Stars Born
Yeah.
absolutely rack up all the knobs. Even
Yeah.
even Maestro actually did like very well
Well
nomination wise. I
enough.
think
Yeah.
like Bradley Cooper, it got I think it got costume, score, picture, all that. Like it racked up, and so this one not getting anything is kind of funny because I also think like even the crafts, even the cinematography,
Hmm.
I loved in this movie.
Yeah.
Matthew Libatique, is that what you say his name?
Yeah. Matthew
Uh,
Levatique,
he also did the work on Stars Born, which A Star is
which
Born
I
is
thought it was shot beautifully too.
perfectly shot. I
Yeah.
in Maestro as well. I mean, I guess Bradley and him have a good connection, and I dig it because it feels like Bradley's comfortable with Libatique being his guy from now on.
Yeah.
Like this is how I want my movies to look. You're my guy.
He makes a lot of, I think, like mundane locations feel
Mm.
like bigger and
Yeah,
more complex than they
I
actually are.
like
Like I
that.
said, the
Yeah,
apartment and everything, or even
yeah,
just him being on stage like a comedy bar or him being in the bar, feels like a lot more layers to it, a lot more complex than like just
yeah.
being a bar in New York City.
Even and this is leading credence to your production design
Yeah.
element. Like I love in when they're in the whatever attic of the beach house where
Mm.
Laura Dern is sleeping in, and like
Yeah.
Laura has to crawl and get in there. I love the way that room looked. Like there was something
Yeah,
again,
dude.
like you
You
said,
could
like
kind of see out
very
the
like
windows a little bit into
real.
the
Yeah,
night.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it was
yeah. And the
cool.
way
It was
Andrew
cool.
Day's peeking through, and then she
Yeah.
falls through, and
Yeah.
I love even that line that Will Arnett says to her, like he gets kind of like really mad at Andrew Day in
Yeah.
that moment,
And what,
and you
dude? And
and the
also, what I liked
camera
about that
follows
too,
him.
yeah, it felt like they've been friends forever, and he's like getting mad at his friend. It didn't feel like fake mad, dude. It felt like he was
Dude,
getting
you nailed
mad
it.
as
You
hell at
nailed
his
it.
friend. You know what
It
I
didn't,
mean?
and it didn't even feel like him getting mad at like, oh, it's my wife's whatever friend that I don't even like.
He
Like,
was
no,
like,
like
"You
I
eavesdropping bitch! Let's
yeah,
get out
like
of
dude,
here."
like fuck off. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
And then obviously Andrew Day then having that
right,
moment where she
right.
reveals why she is the way she is. Dude, and this movie is really good. I recommend
Mm,
anybody that's watching this.
me as well.
I don't know when it goes to rent or streaming, but when it does, definitely go check it out. It's
Check it
really
out.
good.
Or if you can still
It's
catch it in theater, I doubt it's still there, but if you
Yeah,
can,
I would love that. I mean,
I doubt
honestly,
it.
I
With the way it
doubt
is
it.
now, yeah, I doubt it.
Also, real quick, shout out Peyton Manning.
Shout out
Did we
Peyton
shout?
Manning.
Did we
Pretty
shout out
good.
his? I don't
Actually,
think.
not
Yeah,
bad.
I
All
liked his
those times,
performance.
all those Papa John's commercials finally freaking paid off, dude. He
Yeah,
was actually
that's
pretty
what
good. He was
that's
pretty
what
good.
trained him. No, I
Yeah.
actually liked him. I thought the Southern, like, I think he had a stronger Southern drawl to his voice, and it actually, like, there was some. I don't know if I told you this after the movie, but I remember it was during the scene at the Comedy Cellar where he's in the back of Laura Dern. And there was a moment where the camera goes to her and Peyton Manning and it cuts back. And in that moment, when I saw Peyton Manning, I didn't think to myself, that's Peyton Manning. I thought the
That's a
character he's
Southern
playing.
gentleman.
Like, no, like literally though. Like I
That's a
had this moment where
Southern
I'm like,
gentleman.
he just looked like I'm like, oh, that's I forgot the name of the movie. I'm like, oh, that's that guy. And then I was like, whoa, wait. Like I caught myself in the act. I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, wait. Peyton disappeared in his role. Like, that's fucking awesome. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
crazy.
He was
And like
good. He was good.
I was genuinely impressed by because like they also gave him a healthy amount of lines. It was not like they gave him a couple things. Like no, he had to carry conversation with
Yeah.
fucking Laura Dern.
And he
Like
kind
she's
of
a
did his
killer
job. He
actress.
kind
She's
of did his
hot.
job.
And
Yeah.
he was fucking. I bought it. I bought that he was just kind of like wealthy, kind of upbeat Southern guy, but I think he was divorced and lost a kid or
Yeah, he was.
whatever,
Yeah.
and he's single. I just bought it. I was like, dude, you know what? Like, I hated the casting for a couple seconds, and then he started talking, and I was like, you know what?
I buy
I
it.
buy this. I
I buy
buy
this
this.
guy.
No, it was good. It was
Yeah.
good. It's a really good
Over
movie, dude. Really
Yeah, I
good.
was gonna say overall, really good movie. Something we have to do when we do our next round of reviews, by the way, figure out our popcorn meter for how we're gonna rate these
Popcorn
things.
meter.
We got to bring it back. We'll
We're working
resurrect
on
it.
it. We're gonna
Yeah,
resurrect it. We're gonna
resurrect it.
resurrect it. Hundred
But
percent.
everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us and listening to us talk about Is This Thing On? We really liked it. If you haven't seen it, go check it out, and we'll catch you again sometime soon.